It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, welcome to the Fellowship of the Geek Show. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
Les Webster.
To all dog lovers, hail hydrant.
And everybody, welcome back, Harley Briggs. Yay!
Hey guys.
Yay.
Woo! So how's everybody doing?
Great.
Awesome.
Doing quite well, thank you.
Okay.
Ever
So
the
what's
polite
been
one.
going? Huh?
Ever the polite one.
Oh, always is.
Just waiting for the bus.
Oh gosh.
So what's been going on with y'all?
I finally jumped on, which I've been meaning to for a long time, and read the first volume of Rat Queens.
Ooh,
And I have to say it was close to life-changing. It was fantastic.
so
good.
I tell you.
Oh my gosh, so funny. The art, everything was just like amazing. So I know why everyone's been ranting and raving. It was fantastic. So I gotta give it to it.
It is a fun read.
Mhm.
Volume 3 just came out.
Yeah, I need to pick 2 and 3 up now.
Yeah, it's sad that that's been put on hiatus.
See, you say that. Issue 16 comes out this week.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Now, I also saw on Twitter that Tess Fowler, I believe she said that 16 was her last issue.
yeah.
So I don't know what's happening after that, but one more issue anyway.
Yeah.
I can dream, damn it.
Well, I know he's coming out with a miniseries for Dark Horse. It's sci-fi. I can't remember the title of it right now. So I guess that's what he's going to be focusing on.
Yeah, he's also been doing a Twitch channel for a little while now that I think is kind of ramping up on him. So it's
Okay.
a bunch of some gaming stuff, playing D&D.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a D20 Babes. It's his wife and her gaming group.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I've been doing a lot of watching Twitch recently. I've become fascinated of the game The Culling. Have y'all heard about this?
No.
This game?
Oh.
It is a first-person game where you and 15 other opponents are dropped on like this island, and then you have to scavenge for weapons and protection, and the whole deal is you're supposed to kill everybody else and be the last one alive.
Ah, Hunger Games.
It's
Yep.
Yeah, it's Hunger Games.
Which is cool. Well,
Yeah.
in a bloodthirsty, murderous children sort of way.
But it's kind of because I've been following 2 or 3 other players just trying to see their strategy and how they go about, and of course, it's been about a week or so now that they had a first major patch, and oh my God, there was just so many problems with it. So they've been putting out so many other patches to fix everything else, and everybody's just so upset, especially about the combat. So, but it's been kind of interesting to watch it, and the thing is there is. See, I have not read or seen the Hunger Games, so I don't know if this is part of this too. But there's an announcer who always talks about, who always comes out and says, okay, hey, an opponent's been killed, but there's always every once in a while, there's like a really smart little comment. Like, opponent has been killed by a bow and arrow, like in that movie with the guy with the bow and arrow. It's just stuff like that. It's every once in a while you hear something like that, you go, okay.
Nice.
I'm still trying to figure out how you never saw or read or anything around the Hunger Games.
Just not interested. Just was.
Mind blown. I can guarantee your interest in this game, you'd probably actually enjoy Hunger Games. At least the book, maybe not the movie, but the book, because it sounds exactly
Well, that's probably where
the same.
that's probably where they got an idea. But
Well, and that wasn't necessarily all that original an idea.
it's
either,
not. Yeah,
so
it's not exactly
No.
original.
Bloodsport's not a new idea, but
No.
right, and it's cool. Well, all right, I'm going to talk about what I'm looking at this week, and I have gotten the loot from a Kickstarter that I supported a few months back, and it's the latest Jimmy Palmiotti Kickstarter. So the name of the book is Hype.
What?
And it's about, I just downloaded it last night, so I haven't had a chance to read any of it yet, but it is about a superhero that is only able to be awake for an hour a day. That's as much as I know about it. Maybe I can, if it gets really interesting, I can fill you guys in later. But so that's kind of the cool thing I've got coming this week. And the level I supported it at, that is one of 3 graphic novels that I'm getting from the Kickstarter. So
that's very cool.
Wow.
It'll be fun.
The art actually looked really cool on that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing the art? You remember?
Oh, you would.
Okay.
I do not remember off the top of my head. I'll blurt it out in a minute.
It's not a big deal.
Trying to see if I could find it.
Les, what about you?
Well, I want to send kudos to the new TV series Houdini and Doyle, which is like a cross between X-Files and Supernatural. Houdini and Doyle were actual friends, although they took opposite sides on the paranormal. And that's what's fun about this. They jab at one another. And I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's something that's going to last. It's a summer replacement, but hopefully it will kick in to do additional episodes.
Yeah,
and the other thing, sorry.
That one's got my interest peaked too. I am interested.
I do recommend it. It's kind of goofy, but it's fun.
What network is it on?
That is on Fox.
Fox, okay.
Last night it was following Gotham. So now you can probably catch it on demand or something like that.
Okay.
Cool.
And the other thing that has tantalized me is I found Sirius XM has a station called Wonderland. And what it is one-hit wonders. So you can sit there and just giggle, just like that, Holly. You can giggle at these songs, and then you think about it, and they were very popular, and this is through decades. This is from the 50s to the present.
Nice.
So it's a lot of fun to snicker at.
Cool.
Okay. That would be interesting to hear. Definitely.
Yeah. Hype was drawn by Javier Pina.
Oh, okay. Cool. Very nice. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's fun. Of course, with the release of Captain America Civil War here, it's more or less the beginning of the summer movie season, or the summer blockbuster season, or whatever you want to call it. So I kind of thought it would be fun, a little fun challenge for us, is to pick some movies that are bad and let's try to remake them. Of course, we're surrounded by remakes. And of course, they're always good, successful movies that they're remaking. And what I decided to do was let's take some that were bad, but there may have been something, a kernel of something that could possibly be good, and let's try to make it good. So with that, let's go ahead and start off with Les. What you got?
My first choice here is the movie Doc Savage. Ron Ely played the role. Enough people. Here comes the bus. Ron Ely played the role back in the 80s, and it was done as a camp movie. I would like to see this done straightforward. perhaps adapting one of the original novels. I can see in the lead Joe Manganiello. He's a tall character, and he would probably be able to fit it. There's nothing wrong with dyeing the hair or wearing a wig if need be. But I think that he would probably be able to pull it off with his stature. Any comments? Any jabs?
I do have a question.
Yes.
What's the problem with 80s camp?
Mhm.
Doc Savage and then Flash Gordon. The only camp you like is Adam West Batman? I mean, come on, guy.
Yeah, next you'll be slamming the Buck Rogers TV series from the 80s.
Say no more. The only person that held my interest in that show was Tweaky.
Come on, not even Aaron Gray?
I'm sorry, no.
Okay.
Yeah, see, you and I were teenagers then, man.
Well, that's
That
true.
Les was not. So you gotta, that's cool. You gotta just kind of roll with that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, do you want to back it up now, or you just want to go around the block and try to get me again?
Oh no, we're gonna keep sending it around the block for all of us. We're all getting on this
Okay.
thing.
Well,
We're all gonna take shots tonight. It's cool.
then I'm going to be considerate and pass the baton.
Okay.
Next.
Next, Mikey.
Oh, I'm next, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So the first one I'm gonna throw out is, and this may surprise people and it may not. I'm gonna throw out John Carter, the movie
Okay.
from a couple of years ago that
Mhm.
was like a $200 million flick that made like 80 million bucks back. And to be honest, I'm going to do something a little risky. I'm not going to remake just a whole lot of this movie. I'm going to redo about the first 15 minutes of this flick. That for me, that was the part that I had trouble with. Once he gets to Barsoom, it's a really cool action flick, and on an alien landscape, some cool CGI, good stuff. The problem is getting him there. And the movie, as is very inconsistent in how it kind of tells the backstory.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of time jumps in the first 10 or 15 minutes of this flick that there's just no frame of reference for. So you really can't tell where you are in the story at any point, because you're going from the aftermath with the Burroughs character, and then it goes back to the beginning, and then it kind of moves forward a little bit, and then kind of back to the beginning again, and then he finally gets to Barsoom. I'm gonna redo that part, and I don't mind bringing back the same actors and for the most part the same story, but that part has to be restructured so that it makes sense. And then once I've done that, I'm gonna pay some geek 10 grand to cut 3 trailers out of this flick, and I'm gonna do some publicity for it, because that's
Mhm.
really the big thing that didn't happen. Why Disney
Gotcha.
would choose to spend $200 million on this movie and then not publicize it at all is completely beyond me.
Mhm.
Unless, somehow they just didn't have any confidence in it whatsoever. And I'm telling you, if all you do is you fix that beginning, you fix that opening, and rescreen it and see what happens. And I'm telling you, it's going to make some money. It's an awesome movie otherwise.
I've got to say, I loved that movie. I definitely agree with the beginning, but I don't understand why I didn't. My dad loved that movie. I love that movie. I mean, I have that movie. I still watch that movie.
Right.
I have no idea.
But
I
it
know. I totally
completely
agree.
tanked in the
Yeah,
box
I don't
office.
get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they should. Whoever was in charge of a lot of that
dropped
probably.
the ball.
Yeah, they
Plain and simple.
should have been fired. Hopefully, they were fired.
Dropped the ball.
Yeah, it's sad.
There's a book out there because a friend of ours, Rick Gutierrez, was kind of talking about it. That's supposed to be the history of John Carter, and there's a whole section just about this movie. Now, from what I've heard, Disney was going through and doing this movie, and then there was an organizational change. And when that happened, they didn't want to support the movie. They were banking on the first Avengers film. So that's where the money for the
Mm.
marketing and all that went, and they did not want to support this movie, and yeah, it is a travesty. I do love the movie. So basically, Mike, you want to do John Carter Special Edition?
Absolutely. I want to do a director's cut. Well, yeah,
I love
something
that.
like that. I don't care who directed it. Let me have 5 minutes in a room alone with him, and we will sort it out. And I'm not talking about hurting him. I'm talking about just telling him the plan and showing him how it can work.
Hmm.
And then we get to go kick somebody at the studio to actually pay for some publicity for this and make some of that money back.
I will do stick figure pictures if you want to film that for the first 10 minutes. And then you can splice that into the rest of the film.
If you can do them in 3D, you're hired.
Well, that's all you remember. All that is just moving the picture back and forth.
Really, really fast. But yeah, that's cool. A little bit of animation, no problem.
Yeah.
But I have to agree with you, Mike. I think that it's a shame that they did not back this movie and instead just said, well, we have the Avengers and therefore that's all we know of.
Hmm.
Yep.
I mean, there was nothing. I mean, there wasn't even any merchandising, and this is Disney, guys.
Right.
This is Disney. They are the king of merchandising,
They know how to milk the cow.
and there was absolutely nothing. I remember going into the stores when it was out, and I'm seeing stuff for the Avengers film, which wouldn't be out for another 2 or 3 months, and I'm like, there's something wrong here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Holly, what you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna get my extremely obvious. At least conversations I've had with lots of people. This is a very common feeling. I would like a wonderful standalone Catwoman movie that wasn't a disgrace to Catwoman. I recently went back and watched Catwoman. I think it was on Netflix, and I was like, man, it's been so long since I've seen this. I can't even remember if it was good or bad. And then I got like 15 minutes into it, and I turned it off, and I was furious the rest of the day. I Ugh. I
Well,
set myself up for that one, but
I
it was just infuriating. I wanted to just figure out how to wipe it off of the face of the planet and never let anyone else see that, because it is such an irresponsible representation of Catwoman. It's not even Catwoman. They should have called it Catwoman? Two different words. Catwoman, not Catwoman. Oh my, so I don't even know. They just need to scrap the whole entire thing and start way over, because I feel like almost anybody could have done better than what was done with that.
I applaud you because about 15 minutes is about ever only as far as I've gotten on any view, and I've tried so hard.
Holly
And
is suffering from cat scratch fever here.
They should have called it like the Woman of the Cat or something. I mean, it literally had
Cat lady.
no correlation
Cat
to
lady, that's the way to go. Cat lady.
There you go. I mean, I think they thought that if they just stuck some attractive female in a suit that was cat-like, that maybe they could just pass it off as Catwoman and people would go and buy it. But I mean, can anyone think of anything redeeming from that? I mean, there was nothing redeeming here.
Yeah, there was. There was. Really.
Oh, and really?
No, really. When it said the end, that was the most redeeming thing.
There you go. That worked.
So who do you star as Catwoman in your Catwoman remake?
I don't know. That's really hard. Because none of my go-to ladies, I feel like, fit that bill. And can't put Megan in there. I don't know. That one I would have to do. I was just so infuriated by, like, how bad it is and was that I couldn't even think beyond that. It's like it corrupted my brain. Like he said, cat scratch fever or something.
You could do like a Catwoman Returns sort of thing and get Megan in there.
There you go.
Do like
Yeah.
a middle-aged Catwoman coming back, taking on Superman. I don't know. Anything's possible.
Anything is better, like we just said. Anything is better. I mean, anybody else have any better ideas of who could play?
I would kind of toss Carmen Bicondola in there. She plays Catwoman on Gotham. I know she's
Oh,
young,
I was gonna say.
but I think she is really good.
She is. I agree. That she is my favorite representation for sure. But yeah, she needs to grow a few. I don't really want to see her in a latex suit. We gotta wait until she's a little bit older. But it would be interesting to see if Gotham continues. I'm digging a hole here, guys. If Gotham continues and she actually ends up getting, you know, to be at that point, I think that it would be pretty enlightening to see that kind of a version, which I think is much more comic based, interesting version of her than anything that we've seen in cinema. And I know a lot of people loved, oh gosh, what's her name in the last Batman? I'm blanking on her name.
Oh, and Dark
Anne
Knight.
Hathaway?
Yes,
And
there we go. A lot of people, everyone was kind of up and down on her. You know, I know a lot of people that loved her and a lot of people that weren't. I'm not a huge fan of her in really almost anything, so I'm biased. I'm too biased to even like see her in that role, I think.
Well, and she wasn't much of a Catwoman in that movie either, though. I mean, I think that's kind of the big problem is that it was a pretty weak Catwoman.
True.
I mean, she kind of did what she could with what she had, and she didn't have much.
Yeah, much meat
But,
there.
yeah.
True.
Cool. So for my choice, the Avengers, and I'm talking Steed and Peel.
Yay.
You know, the thing about the 98 film, it was a good cast. I mean, you're talking about Ray Fiennes, Uma Thurman, and Sean Connery as the bad guy, but oh my God. I would love for it to be a period piece. I would love it to be late 60s or early 70s and kind of get that vibe. And of course, Steed has to have to wear the boulder and umbrella and all that. And Emma has to wear the very fashionable clothes, but can seriously kick ass. We've seen the action, espionage, adventure, those films can do well, but they're all modern takes. I think doing something a little bit set back in that kind of time period would be pretty cool.
I think something that's coming up could put that to the forefront. Are they not doing a Batman 66 Steed and Peel?
Yeah. Well, I really thought, I don't know if anybody saw the Man from U.N.C.L.E. film, and that was kind of a period thing. But so I don't know anybody has seen it. I haven't heard anything good
Now,
or bad about it.
now that you say that, I have suspiciously not heard anything about it. Did it
And
come out?
I have
Yeah.
seen it.
Mm-mm.
I did see it. I liked it. I thought it was fun because it was reminiscent of the Cold War.
Cool.
I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, that'd be great research for rewriting the Steven Peele movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Les, you're up next.
I'm going to toss Green Hornet out there.
Gee, I wonder why, Les.
I was so repulsed by that movie. It was difficult to even catch my breath after about the first 4 minutes. I can see somebody, well, maybe he's too hefty, but Channing Tatum, I could see as the lead, as Britt Reed, and maybe tell a little bit of the background of the Green Hornet and his relationship to the Lone Ranger. I think that movie would have to do justice to the character. Let's don't play it as a comedy. Let's just do it as a straight up mystery and see what happens.
Anything but a Seth Rogen douche fest. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Ugh.
Yeah, about 4 minutes was about as long as I watched that one. I mean, I can't stand Seth Rogen, but I honestly tried. I said, okay, let me put that to the side and give this a serious watch, and let's see what happens. And I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it.
There are movies he's done that I enjoy, but that definitely was not near it.
To a point, I could see why maybe doing a little bit more, say, camp as opposed to straight on superheroing, because that's what everybody else does. Do a little something different. I get that, but uh,
But it didn't
yeah,
work.
it didn't work. Yeah, you gotta have the right script and you gotta have the right actors. Everything has to be right to do that, and yeah, they didn't on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, good choice. Very good
Yeah.
choice.
Mikey.
Okay. This is my one that I'm a little nervous about,
Dun, dun, dun.
and bear with me on this. Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace.
Hmm.
Now that I've said that, hear me out. My problem, and there are actually a list, but the ultimate main single problem with this movie is that it doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing, the whole deal with the original trilogy, those movies had a two-pronged plot. They were about Luke, Leia, and Han on one end, and they were about the war on the other end, the rebellion. Now, with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, they actually do that using Anakin as one of the prongs and the Clone Wars as the other. Phantom Menace doesn't. Phantom Menace just doesn't fit the plot. It focuses on somebody else. It focuses primarily on Qui-Gon and the Naboo battle, which, I don't care what they say, is a minor skirmish. There's not a war. It's not like this huge galactic spanning war. It's the linchpin for the Clone Wars, but it's still just a small battle on a small backwater world. So it doesn't even fit its own pattern. So that, and then you get the other list of things that everybody hates about that movie. So here's what you do, and this is hard because I'm actually talking about redoing the entire prequel trilogy, because Episode 1 needs to be, you need to have Anakin at maybe 13 or 14. So Obi-Wan's been training him for 4 or 5 years at this point. You start there because what you're doing is you're building a relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And there's stuff in there. There's battle stuff in there with the start. The Trade Federation's doing stuff, screwing around. Things are escalating at that point. And after that, you might do a little bit of recutting of the other two to make Obi-Wan the focus. Just take it away from Anakin, because Anakin is not a likable character. There, I said it. Nobody likes Anakin. And honestly, I don't know that I blame Hayden Christensen for that, because I honestly think that there are people out there that don't particularly like Padme either. And I don't think that's entirely Natalie Portman's fault. So I don't think you necessarily have to recast those roles. You could. I think rewriting them would probably help a lot more. And then you can stick with Episode 3 as it is, because it's pretty much, I mean, it's centered on Anakin, but at that point you have to. And you've still got enough Obi-Wan in there to make it up. The only other alternative would be to just scrap Episode 1 altogether, start with Episode 2, and then build a second movie out of the Clone Wars animated series. And then do Episode 3 the way it is.
Okay.
Bold.
Yeah. It's two things. One, I hadn't really thought about until you just said it. The whole Obi-Wan Anakin relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they meet for a couple of minutes in Episode 1, and then by Episode 2, we're supposed to just know that he's been training them for all these years.
For 10 years. He even says it's been 10 years since I saw Padme.
Yeah, it's been 10 years, and then there's a relationship, but they're really not together a lot in that movie either.
Right. You're relearning the characters and that relationship, and it's hard to do, because Episode 1 is focused so much on just chaos.
Yeah.
The chaos that's around Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is a force of chaos.
And the second thing to kind of back up your point, and I'm sure you guys have seen this because there's been several discussions on how to view these movies, and there is, I think they call it the machete cut. What you essentially do to keep the shock of Empire Strikes Back there, you watch A New Hope, you watch Empire Strikes Back, then you go back and you can or you can not watch episode one, but you do watch episode Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Then you go back and watch Return of the Jedi. I mean, the fact that they say you don't necessarily have to watch episode one to watch the rest of the films and keep the surprise of Empire Strikes Back there for a new viewer and then explain everything, it tells you that there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we recently started showing my 9-year-old these movies, and I just decided not to show him Phantom Menace. I was like, there's just no point. It'll just confuse him.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I mean, all it really is, it's a 2.5 hour setup for the other two movies,
and it's not even particularly good at one of those, honestly.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not that much of a setup.
All it does is it introduces Anakin, which that's not even Anakin. I mean, it just doesn't even make sense as an introduction of Anakin.
Yeah, it's not the Anakin we'll see the next two films.
Right, it's a totally different character. So there you go.
It is controversial, but yeah, I won't argue against it.
If I may, I'm looking at Jake Lloyd as a decent Anakin as a child. I would agree with you, Mike, that they should have found someone a bit older, someone that could have been near Padme's age, so he doesn't sprout and all of a sudden he's the same age as she is, which is terribly confusing to me. But Hayden Christensen, I know, got a bad script, 2 bad scripts, and because they made him a whiner the whole time. And if you're going to do that, why not, I'm being flip here, but why not put Hayden Panettiere in there instead?
Oh, wow. Dang.
And I don't like Christensen's work in there. He is so stiff in those 2 movies that I wonder exactly what he did to get the job.
I will grant you that he doesn't always. I mean, he's struggling to play the emotional thing, but I don't think he gets the right emotion most of the time. I mean, the whole dark side thing is supposed to be based on anger, and he doesn't do anger often enough for my taste. I think if he's going to be if he's going to be so angry that he becomes Darth freaking Vader, the worst nasty guy in the whole universe, then he needs to get angry a little more often, you know?
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Well,
I mean, and I said I wasn't going to criticize Christensen in this, but so what? It's,
well,
you know,
the problem is it's a bad script, and he wasn't getting help from the director, and those.
Well, that's because the director wrote the damn script.
Yes, and I know there's one person probably cursing me out right now, but the truth hurts, man. You know, the actor can only do so much. You know, with what they're, you know, that's what the director is there for, is to help them
to direct, one might say.
Yes, yeah.
Really?
So, alrighty. Okay, Holly, you're up next.
Oh,
Unless there's something else you want to say, Mike.
Follow that.
Yeah, follow that, Holly.
I don't think I can.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Ooh, double entendre.
Well, I'm going to revisit something that, like I feel like Les has been visiting things that him or any of us have complained about a lot over the last few years. And I feel like this is another one of them that I'm kind of tired of talking about, but I'm going to anyway. Fantastic Four. So I am one of the biggest Fantastic Four fans. One of the first comics I read was the original Fantastic Four run. My dad had the whole thing. I mean, I read that over and over and over as a kid, and it has made me sick with this terrible new Fantastic Four movie that they came out with. it makes me so sad that the kids of today don't get the joy of Fantastic Four that I had when I read those pages. And I feel like it's become this big old joke. And it's so depressing to me because there is so much good meat in there. And there's great stories, great villains, great heroes. There could be so much good that could come out of it. And the original Fantastic Four movies that they had made, I don't think that they were horrible. I know a lot of people really hate them as well. I never thought they were horrible. 10 million times better than the current movie. But they still, to me, didn't stack up to quite what I think those stories really could do if given the correct maybe writer and director and correct people on it, because I think that they could do something as big as like the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and stuff that has done so well. Fantastic Four can be that and do that, but I just don't think that the right people have connected with it and they don't care enough about it to get it there. I don't know if it ever will get there. I think it's like tainted now. It's got some voodoo curse on it and it may never get there, but in my dreams it will get there. So I'm sure y'all are sick of hearing about Fantastic Four too, but anybody have any thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I think that those two movies 10 years ago, those were script problems.
Yeah.
I think they had the acting talent. I'm not sure I would have cast Jessica Alba, but anyway, not a deal. I mean, she can act, so that's not a big deal. But there were major, major flaws in those stories, and they just didn't really seem to they didn't play to the strengths of that group
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason.
That were built in. They didn't even have to try.
I mean, you got 30 years of backstory.
Yep.
How can you not figure out these characters, you know? How can you not have done your research to figure out these characters and their dynamic and how they work together? Doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree. Those movies, I didn't even bother with the recent one because I got warned off of it fast. I'm slow to go to movies, so I get warned off of things. So I never saw the Catwoman thing either you talked about. But yeah, and it's just, I agree.
I still want to see it just out of curiosity now. I mean, than anything else. But you guys are right. I mean, I don't expect it to be exactly like the comics, but there was nothing of the spirit. I mean, it's supposed to be a family. I mean, even if they're not blood related, it was a family.
Mm-hmm.
And Holly, you talk about kind of matching up to Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, these characters were the ones who discovered the negative zone. They battled Galactus and the Skrulls and all that kind of stuff. It's stuff that Marvel Studios cannot do because they're tied into the Fantastic Four, and they would love to do that, but they can't. And this is what Fox does. I'm kind of reminded of a few weeks back when we went to the DC Roadshow, and Dan DiDio made a comment about with them doing the new Rebirth, and they started talking to the creative crews and all that. He says one of the problems with the New 52 is that they brought in the writers and artists, and they say, okay, well, yeah, I know what happened in the past and what these writers and artists did. I want to do this. With this, they're going, no, no, no. This is how the characters are supposed to be. You go with that. Now, anything you want to do outside of there is fair game, but these are the parameters. These are the characters. You cannot do anything to deviate from that. And I'm off my soapbox.
Well, I want to remind you of the 1994 version of Fantastic Four, which was horrendous.
I hadn't seen that.
I've not seen that.
The Roger
I didn't
Corman
even
one?
know
Yeah.
it existed.
Oh, yeah.
This is, let's see, the director was Ole Sasson, and you had actors like Alex Hyde White as Reed Richards, Rebecca Staub as Sue Storm,
Oh,
George
wow.
Gaines as the Professor. Do you remember who George Gaines is?
He
Was he not on
Punky Brewster's
Punky
dad.
Brewster?
He He was the superintendent in Police Academy
Police
movies.
Academy, yeah.
Oh wow,
Yes.
that thing is gnarly looking. I
Oh,
mean,
which pulled up on IMDb.
yup.
Oh, okay.
Gee.
I was hoping that's what.
Oh my god.
So you get to see the picture of Doctor Doom, and it was bad. It was a bad movie, but they were trying at least.
Mhm.
Well, I would love to see. I would love to see that there's a documentary on that. And from what I understood, they basically did that so Fox can maintain the film rights.
Mhm.
So that's yeah. So all that was, I mean, it was never meant to be released, and all that. It was just to maintain the rights.
How cheap can we make this movie?
Exactly.
So
Well,
good.
you get Corman involved, and yeah.
Yeah, he'll find a way. Yep, no doubt about it.
Terrible. Disgusting. Y'all gonna make
But,
me go to bed angry tonight.
You
but
brought it
Holly, I
up.
will agree that they need to redo that movie.
Hooray.
Okay, for my second pick, I'm gonna get some laughs out of this one. But if you think about the concept of the story, it's kind of an interesting one. And the title of my movie is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I've thought about doing this.
I mean, you think about it, aliens coming to Earth, reanimating the dead because we have this ultimate weapon, or they believe that we have this ultimate weapon. That's kind of an interesting concept, but of course, Ed Wood, but God bless him. It, I mean, isn't that kind of an interesting story concept?
These
Or am
days,
I just
sure.
crazy? Yeah,
I
these
don't see
days,
any
yeah,
reason why not these days.
yeah.
Given the zombie craze, yeah. I mean, I think it's doable. Like I
It's
said,
Oh,
I almost put it on this list. I really thought about it. And I'm not gonna lie, Fantastic Four crossed my mind too. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, all right, what do you do differently?
mhm.
I'm sorry, it's perfect. It's it's recognized as the worst movie ever made. So
Well, I hear that thrown around a lot nowadays because Manos has that title, and The Room has that title. So I mean, one of those has to be the worst.
I
Which one is
remember,
which one is it, Les? Which one is the worst of those three?
to me, it's got to be Plan 9 because you have a nighttime scene shot in the middle of the day. You have a shower curtain separating the cabin from the rest of the airplane. You have the lead actor passing away shortly after he filmed the first scene of the movie. It's perfect. I wouldn't touch a thing. But that's me because I love bad movies.
To answer your question, Mike, I would go for a little bit more of a. I would definitely amp up the sci-fi and the horror to it, kind of in a combination of like the Alien films, almost kind of a haunted house type thing, maybe. I'm not sure how exactly that would work, but
See, where my brain went, and I admit it went straight to the sarcasm, but now that I'm thinking about it more, my first thought was, who do you get to play the lead? Brad Pitt? And then I started thinking, wait a minute,
Uh-huh.
World War Z, the
Yep.
movie, is not that far off.
Mm-mm.
okay, yeah, that's true.
I mean, you add some things to it, obviously. You got to add some of the sci-fi stuff. You got to add a lot of the sci-fi stuff. But that kind of vision of a zombie apocalypse, if you're going to do it, go over the top and have a little fun with it, there you go.
Okay,
Just turn it into an alien plot as opposed to whatever it was.
okay,
And use that sort of visual as a starting point for what the world looks like with the dead rising. That's the dead rising part. As far as the sci-fi goes, I mean, it's Do what you
And
want there. You're
and
almost
and
Independence Day like stuff if you want.
yeah. In answer to the question of who would I cast in the lead, oh come on, Bruce Campbell.
So you are still gonna go camp with me.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go a little camp. We can do camp, but not so.
But if you do it with the right visuals behind it, it'll
Yeah.
work. That's the cool part. It'll work.
God, look at Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2. There was camp in there, but that's still a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Pretty
And,
nasty
And Evil
too.
Dead 3 Army of Darkness was nothing but camp.
Right,
yeah,
and you've got the Deadites walking around, and you've got, I mean, it's not that far off of Plan 9 either. You get a slightly
true.
different start to the thing, or source of the Deadites, but yeah, amp that up, turn it loose.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that could work. Woohoo. Someone needs to call us and send us to Hollywood. Les, you're up next.
I think I'm out. I just really had the two.
Tap.
Yeah.
No, he's just still
Yeah.
upset that I picked Man Not Your First Face.
That was going to be his third pick. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Okay, Mikey, then you're next.
So I'm going to go with On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Ooh, okay.
Right. This is widely considered to be the least favorite Bond movie out of a lot of Bond movies. I, however, have a slightly different take on why it's the least favorite Bond movies. I think George Lazenby gets a bum rap for this movie. I don't think Lazenby is the problem with this movie.
Agreed.
I think the problem with this movie is that it's not a Bond movie. It never was a Bond movie. It should never have been made a Bond movie. The only way to make this a Bond movie is to extract Tracy from the flick. And honestly, you can do it and still make a full-length Bond movie because it's a long damn movie as it is. So, and you can have Tracy there, but you got to take the love story out. It just doesn't fit in the Bond genre, even in the late 60s. And honestly, yeah, they were probably, since they lost Connery, they were probably just trying to take the franchise in a different direction. It failed. So let's remake this movie without the wedding. Spoiler, they get married at the end. Movie came out in 1969, so if you haven't seen it by now, you're not going to. But I mean, I think I literally think that's all you have to do is cut 40 minutes of the love story out of this movie, and then the end.
Mm-hmm.
The end becomes the point where the big explosion happens right before the wedding starts. That's the end of this movie, and that's all you got to do.
That's pretty much an epilogue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cut the epilogue and call it good, and cut.
Well, I mean, they can
cut half an hour of the lovey stuff in the middle, and you're done.
It's not one of my favorites, but I do agree it gets a bad rap. I mean, I will stop and watch it when it's on.
Yeah.
I do like George. I thought he was I thought it was an interesting version.
He's got a certain charm. I mean, say what you want about him. He comes across as charming. And he can also do the Bond turn on a dime thing where they get nasty for a minute and then they come back. He pulled that off once or twice in the movie. He does fine as Bond. And he's a pretty good actor. Nice looking guy. I mean, the producers got hacked off at him for something he did completely outside the movie. That wasn't why they ditched him. They ditched him for other reasons. They ditched him mostly for PR reasons, but that's a different story. You can catch special thingies on the DVD to show you all about that. But
yeah.
I mean, as a Bond, he's serviceable. I mean, he does better than one or two of the others. Anyway, I try not to compare Bonds too much because I really like them all, but I think he's a workable Bond, and I think that movie just has that major flaw in it. And you can, it's a big cut to remove that flaw, but it can be done.
I have to admit, I have never seen that one. We own it, and I have never seen it.
It's long. Be prepared.
It's worth watching.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is long, but
if you can suffer through the lovey stuff, there's a serviceable Bond movie in there. The lovey stuff is hard to avoid at the end. But like I said, you cut it off at the end of the fight with Blofeld and you're good. You'll lose. You're cutting 10 minutes off.
Awesome.
And it's 10 minutes you don't need.
I will take it. Pointless. I will indeed do that then.
So that is your assignment this week, Holly.
Oh God. Okay. We'll see. We'll see if I
You
make
want a full report.
it. Okay.
Double spaced, 6 pages.
12-point font. No larger.
You know, my next pick, I was just sitting here. I was sitting here thinking about how much I want to watch it tonight. So see all these movies, I'm gonna just be like, now that we're talking about them, it makes me want to go watch them.
Get you in the mood.
Then I'll have really, really great insight of every tiny detail. Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, because my next pick is actually one of my favorite movies ever, but it's considered to be a terrible movie, and most people hated it. So I can claim it as it being a bad movie and needing to be redone, mostly for the reason like what you had used for John Carter. Okay, so it's Speed Racer. They had they pushed that movie. They did a lot to it. But it was, in my opinion, it needs to be redone. You can have all the same cast, all the same whatever. But the problem is I think they need to decide if they want it to be for children or for adults. And I think that they tried to go in between, and I don't think children fully got the concept, because when you watched it, it was like you were on acid. I mean, it was just weird. They didn't quite commit to one or the other, I don't think. And a lot of kids didn't quite get it, and a lot of small-minded adults didn't get it. But I have a major love for Speed Racer anyway. I watched the shows growing up. I mean, I spent years trying to convince my parents that I needed to change my name to Trixie. I am one of the biggest Speed Racer fans alive. So I am biased anyway. I love Speed Racer. And I really loved this movie, but I don't think for it to get worldwide success and to make as much money as they spent making it, I don't think that they were very smart about a lot of their choices, and that it could have been a huge deal, a huge phenomenon. And I know it was talked about a lot, and they did push a lot of marketing and stuff, but then it just bombed. I mean, it did not make even half the money back that it was supposed to. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that they could have done differently to try and make it a little bit friendlier for a certain demographic. Again, I love it, but I want it to do well because I want them to be able to make more movies, And I think it's sad that if I ever bring it up, it's like you don't bring up Speed Racer at a dinner party or something. You get shunned to the children's table or something. I don't know. People hate that movie. Just hate it. I don't understand. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyone thoughts?
I hadn't seen the movie, and I totally forgot that it came out. I kind of vaguely remember seeing stuff for it. Wachowskis? Well, didn't they do it?
Yes. I don't think they should have had them do it because it wasn't a movie for everyone. I think they can tend to be kind of cocky about, making a movie and being like, it's perfection. Now, if you don't get it, well, too bad. Then you just don't get our style.
What's wrong with you?
Yes. And that's cool if you're doing like some like artsy thing in your garage, but if you're trying to mess with something that everybody else loves, like I said, I liked it, but I want the rest of the world to like it so I can get more of it. I'm greedy, okay? So it's just kind of sad that they did that.
I was just glad you didn't say clam bake.
Well, you don't know what my next film is, Les, so.
It better not be clam bake.
Oh, no. Did anybody else see Speed Racer?
No.
Yes.
Les? Okay,
yes,
so Les, what was your thought? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think?
I was on the fence on it. I was doing the mugwump on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
because it didn't excite me, but I could see where it would be difficult to follow for a younger person.
Yeah.
It was no Plan 9.
Oh, heavens, no.
Oh,
When you
don't.
have a large wrestler that can't get out of the coffin on the stage, that's good.
Or the police detective that's holding his gun and using it to adjust his hat backwards and that kind of thing.
Yeah, scratch his head and then point with it. You
Yeah.
go over there and you go over there.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, man.
Recall.
Such fun.
Okay, for my final pick, or at least for this episode, is going to be one I'm sure none of y'all have seen. And I only saw it a couple of years ago on TV.
Oh, God, it is
It
clam
is
bake.
clam bake. That's
It
what
is
I
clam bake.
Stop.
Yeah.
What?
No.
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 I think
No.
I've talked to Les and Mike about this before because it kind of impressed me even though it was kind of bad. It was originally called Invasion and then later changed to Infection.
What?
And the whole thing is it was kind of a found footage type of a film, and the whole premise was a meteor crashed nearby in this small town in California, and it happened to be around prom night, and everything is filmed from the perspective of a deputy's car. He's got the video camera and all that kind of stuff, and he happens to be driving around the lake because, of course, that's what happens after everybody finishes up with prom. They head out to the lake and that kind of thing. So everything is performed so all the incidents is happening in front of the car. And the thing is it's about a 65-minute film, and most of it is filmed from just this perspective. And it looked like it was done in one take. I've later found out that there are some edits, but it's really kind of hard to tell. But it was so cool because it's kind of played out in front of you, like if you were going through a haunted house or something, or something, that kind of thing. It was neat visually to watch. There were some lulls. There were some things that could have worked better, especially if you had better actors. But the whole concept was just so cool that I thought, and the guy who directed it, he's known for doing things on the cheap and B films. He was also the guy who did the 1990 version of Captain America with Matt Salinger.
Oh.
So that kind of gives you, I can't remember his name right now, but it was so cool. I was just so mesmerized watching this happen and just waiting for something else to appear in front. If they took the concept and worked on it a little bit and built a stronger story, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that story, but something along that kind of thing, I think it really be cool. I guess it kind of goes back to earlier me watching the whole culling and just the whole perspective of things going on in front of me, but I'm not necessarily participating. I don't know, but it was I enjoyed it, but I don't know if anybody has ever saw it other than the people who posted on IMDb. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Very.
yeah, it had potential. It could probably still work, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well,
Wouldn't be the first time today.
with the whole found footage thing, it's one of those things I didn't think about doing it like a dash cam type movie, but it makes sense
Yeah,
in a
and
way.
the thing, and the thing in the dash with being dash cam, you don't have to worry about getting sick unless you're
Right.
hitting some bumps and stuff, which
Oh
is
man.
always a good thing.
Right. Do I remember the Blair Witch Project? Holy cow.
Oh God,
That was hard.
yeah, that last couple of minutes, or oh God,
That was
I
man.
knew it was coming in. I still, Les and I went to go see that at the Alamo. Was it last year, Les?
Yes, I believe so.
And I still knew it was coming, and I still had problems. and there was nothing I could do about
Right,
it.
because it doesn't have anything to do with the surprise ending. It has to do with the freaking shaky
It's just
cam.
the shaky cam.
Because I
Exactly.
remember you and I went to see it when it came out in
Yeah.
whenever that was, however many
Yep.
millennia ago that was. And yeah, I
Yeah.
remember having to sit in the car for a while afterwards and go, oh God,
Yeah.
I just gotta sit still for a minute here.
I still love that movie.
Oh yeah,
I
it's a fun movie.
Any other thoughts about my last pick?
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just glad it's not clam bake.
Yeah.
Well,
No kidding.
we'll save that for the follow up. I'm making a note right now.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
we should all pick it next time.
There you go.
That way we'd all have to watch it next time. But anyway.
Mm-mm.
Well, you can just go on. You can just do some little research online. You don't have to actually watch it.
And I want you all to sing "Do the Clam," okay?
Well, you know, Bill Bixby was so awesome in that film. And it was a blonde Bill Bixby too.
I know.
Okay, Les, how would you remake Clam Bake to make it a good movie?
There you go. There's your third pick.
How would I remake Clam Bake? Okay. Here's what I would do. I would not raise any money. I would not write a script. I would not hire anybody to act or film and say, sorry, can't do it.
And then you would just go home.
That's right.
And then you would pull an E.T., the video game, and go find all the copies of that movie in the whole wide world and dump them in a landfill in Southern California.
Yes, I would. Yes. And let them hope that it actually exists. But you remember, if you saw the movie Ed Wood, you noted that the girl that played his girlfriend, Sarah Jessica Parker's role, that character, that person in life, wrote the song "Do the Clam" for
Wow.
Clam Bake. And she has been on my sites ever since.
All right, good job there, Les.
Well, thanks.
Anything else before we wrap up this little portion of the show?
This little portion of the show.
This little portion.
Long ass portion of the show.
Pretty much. I think we've done enough damage here.
I think so. So when we come back, we'll do our weekly picks. And we're back with our weekly picks. I'm leading off this week. My first pick is Ninjak number 15 from Valiant, written by Matt Kint with art by Diego Bernard. This is part 2 of The Siege of the King's Castle. The series overall has been really, really good, but this particular arc, at least it started off a lot more action-adventure movie type than previous issues. So, and I'm curious to see what's happened to me for those who have not been reading. Someone had sabotaged Colin King's house and hacked to where he can't access any of his resources and put him on the most wanted list. So he's public enemy number 1, and he's trying to figure out who's doing this and why. So I'm curious to see how things go from chapter 1. My second pick, and I'm going to have to go back and brush up on the previous issues, is George Perez's Sirens number 5. We're finally getting number 5 after a 10-month delay. Written and drawn by George Perez for Boom Studios. I've kind of enjoyed this miniseries, but there's been some delays. I know he's had some operations and eye operations, and I'm sure there's been other things which we're obviously not privy to. But I'm a big fan of George Perez, so I'll definitely be checking that out. Holly, you're next.
All right. This week I have got Starfire number 12 coming out. And, of course, this is Amanda and Jimmy have done this run of Starfire. And It's sad. It's the last issue. They've only done one full year of this title, and a lot of people have thought that it's been canceled, but I read in an interview that Jimmy was saying that they were never signed on for more than 12 anyway. So they only had, and I believe Amanda even was saying she only had ideas for 12, and they weren't initially ever going to do more than that. So it is sad that it's ending, but it's been a really cute story, and the art's amazing. And number 11 last month was actually kind of left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm excited to see what happens in number 12. And since it is such a short run, I'm sure they'll come out with some good collected editions for people to jump onto. But it really was a good lighthearted run. I enjoyed it. Not every comic has to be so heavy with lots of blood and foul language. So it was a really enjoyable series. So I'm sad to see that ending, but glad it got wrapped up. At least they didn't just quit in the middle. My second choice this week is going to be American Mythology is putting out Stargate Atlantis Back to Pegasus #1, which I am so excited for. I've been waiting for this. This was actually on Kickstarter to begin with. And what is so crazy is if you watch Stargate Atlantis, the show, it ended. And of course, hardcore fans, Stargate Atlantis fans, which can be kind of crazy, you want to know what's going to happen next. And they canceled it. So it was depressing. But now with this awesome new comic, they are picking up right where the TV show left off, which is like every fan's dream. They easily could have just been like, no, we're going to, draw old episodes or, do something. But no, they're actually giving us great new continuity and everything. So I'm super excited. And even more excited to collect every single cover because they've got sketch variant, a wraparound. They've just put out the works for this. So I'm so, so excited about this. So very, very excited. So those are my picks this week.
Cool.
Very good.
Choices.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make one comment, if I might, regarding Starfire.
Mm-hmm.
I know when this series started off, a lot of the feedback I was hearing was it was nice to get the lighthearted and as opposed to the Candora that we were seeing in Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Yes.
It was a little bit more like old school Starfire.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. It seemed like there was a lot of those titles that came out as part of the DCU that they never really came out and said, okay, this is a short run series. Or, there were some that they came out and they said, okay, like Batman and Bizarro, those were definitely 6 issues, but the rest of them, they never really came out and said, okay, this is how long it's going to be, and then that's it. But it seemed like that's what, Starfire was one, Omega Men was one, and some of the other ones. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, I'm kind of sad to see Starfire go too. But we'll probably see her again down the road in the
Hopefully.
whole book.
Yeah, I hope so.
Mikey,
What you got?
All right. I got a couple of trades this week. My first one, and the one I'm really looking forward to the most, is Atomic Robo and the Ring of Fire. As far as continuity goes, this would be volume 10, but since the boys switched over to IDW, I don't know how they're numbering them at this point. Writer is Brian Clevenger, illustrator is Scott Wagner, and Robo, for those who don't know, disappeared in the last arc. And in this arc, we find out what's been going on in his absence, which is that the government has taken over Tesladyne, and they are, of course, screwing things up. And then all of a sudden, giant monsters show up. And so the gang has to find Robo, build him a new body, and shoot him up into space to take over a weapons satellite that the Nazis had built so that he can fire it and kill the giant monsters. And it's just a pretty much run-of-the-mill Robo adventure, as if there's any such thing as a run-of-the-mill Robo adventure. But it's a fun story. So looking forward.
If that doesn't tantalize you, I don't know what does.
The only thing that could be better is if Dr. Dinosaur's in it, but he's not. So
Yes.
maybe next time. My second pick is Birthright, Volume 3. This is written by Josh Williamson and drawn by Andre Bresson, and is the continuation of the story of Mikey, the warrior who's the savior of Tyrannos, which is a parallel world to Earth. Mikey disappeared. I think I've talked about Birthright a little bit on the show. But Mikey disappeared at like age 9 and comes back a year later, fully grown up, and this badass sci-fi fantasy warrior. And he's come back so as to not go into spoilery stuff, for complicated reasons. He's come back to Earth, and his brother, who was his older brother, is helping him, but his older brother is now like 13 or so. And so there's a fun dynamic there, and his parents are divorced, and it's kind of ugly, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on, and there's more to the story than that even, and it's a really fun ride. It's a really cool story, and they're doing a great job with it, and I'm ready for Volume 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been a fun story, and I did see the other day on Twitter, Joshua said for those who were concerned because Joshua is going to be the new writer on the Flash after Rebirth,
Mm-hmm.
that Birthright and Nailbiter will continue. He's planning on writing those as well. So we have not seen the last of Birthright, which is a good thing.
He's going to be a busy guy, but he can do it.
Yep, he can do it.
He can do it.
Very cool picks. Les, what you got?
Well, thank you. I'm leaving the last for last. First, I'm going to talk Kingdom Come. This was a series done by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, and now they are putting out the 20th anniversary hardcover. This is a fun read. This is a great read. If you are interested in the DC characters, this is the way to go, because you have the Justice League returning to face the current superheroes that have become as reckless as the villains they fight. And it's a nice head-to-head combat type book. Of course, I was fascinated with Alex Ross' work throughout, and everything fit so perfectly for it. My other choice, also a DC title, is Legends of Tomorrow. This is by various writers and various artists, but this issue comes with a Kevin Nolan cover. And people that were familiar with Batman many years ago know who Kevin Nolan is. In these stories, you have 4 different stories with characters. You have Sugar and Spike, Metamorpho, Firestorm, and the Metal Men. In this one, I'm looking forward to it because Metamorpho is going to be facing off against Kanjar-O, who made his first appearance back in like Justice League number 2 or 3. So, being an old-time reader, this really is up my alley.
Oh my God. Metal Man, Sugar Spike, and Kanjaro in one book. You got to be in hog heaven, man.
I am, yes. Yes, I am.
Oh, we're missing the Starro.
Here's an idea. Maybe he can team with Kanjaro.
Those are good picks, too. Kingdom Come was a very good story. I enjoyed that. It's been a while since I've read that. I didn't pick them up as individuals. I got them when it was collected. And yeah, what can you say about Alex Ross art? It's so beautiful. God, it's been 20 years. Wow.
20 years.
So good picks all around. Well, does anybody have anything else they want to add before we sign off for this week? I think Holly, you had one or two.
Yeah, I just noticed today that the new Mark Miller title, Empress, has got a movie in the works, which is crazy. Number 2's not even out yet. I believe it comes out tomorrow, maybe.
Wow.
But it's actually, I really enjoyed the first one. So the first issue is actually in second printing now. But yeah, they've already got an actress. I mean, it's crazy. So saw that, kind of cool. So that might be something you want to pick up. Also, I saw a preview for Wonder Woman Rebirth #1 today. And I've got to say, it got me so excited, guys. Oh my gosh. I just could have melted in those pages. The colors, the everything. It's so beautiful. So I'm super, super excited. Rebirth. Woo! Yeah.
Yeah, the art's by Liam Sharp, who's going to be
Mhm.
doing the odd number issues. And the
Mhm.
thing, guys, he was retired and he helped create the Madefire app for digital
Hmm.
comics.
Hmm.
And you're like, wow, why was he retired when obviously he's a very impressive artist?
Mhm.
It's just kind of mind-boggling. So I'm glad to see that
Coming back.
he's yeah.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
gonna be good.
and Rucka's back on the book,
Yeah.
which is gonna make some fans happy. So
Yes.
yeah. Anybody else? Any other shout outs or something, or anything else you want to point out?
No, just the usual shout outs.
Yeah, just usual shout outs to our partner and family for help promote our little podcast, and we've been busting our butts to return the kindness and the love. We appreciate you guys. We really do. Of course, I think last week Mike had mentioned a shout out to Manny the Martyr, who provides our awesome music. Want to go ahead and say that again. Thank you guys. Y'all rock, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much it, except for, well, we gotta say thank you guys for listening, downloading the podcast. Please, if you're downloading on iTunes, please write reviews, good, bad, or indifferent. Please, just we really appreciate good reviews, but yeah, but just anything, just to let them know that you know.
Yeah, we love good reviews, but if you feel the need to be honest, that's okay too.
Please do.
Yeah.
Don't want to make you a liar.
And then check us out on Stitcher and Google Play as well.
That's true. So we're always open to comments, suggestions, and questions. Feel free to email us at email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to our website and send a message through our contact page. We are on Facebook, the Fellowship of the Geeks. We're also on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Please follow Mikey on his personal page at Mikey Geek. Holly has a Twitter page as well as Holly Blake with 3 E's. And she also has an Instagram that you can follow her, the same designation. And I'm at Tom TC Geek on Twitter as well. So, anything else before we say goodnight, folks? I think that's everything.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening, guys. We do appreciate it. Until next time, read more comics and support your local stores. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,